Hello, everyone. We are live once again. I'm so excited about today's presentation. Part of this disclosure project that is underway, it seems like every 2 to 3 weeks they are releasing more and more UFO documents. And that is part of a greater transition that is part of the positive trajectory timeline. And so there are a few things that are vital in understanding what's going to be happening as we become part of the galactic and cosmic community. So today's transmission comes directly from the Galactic Alliance in preparation for the transitioning into a Type 1 interplanetary advanced civilization. All right, so before I give you guys the update, I do want to remind you guys that I have a whole new set of classes available through my website. 3 different level Ascension courses: beginners, intermediates, and advanced. And my groundbreaking class, our Cosmic Origin, where I break down the entire cosmic infrastructure as well as the different types of civilizations, the levels of reality, dimensions, the cosmic history. It is really, if you guys really want to get your minds bended deep into the rabbit hole, I would suggest to take our Cosmic Origin. I don't think there's anyone on this planet that covers the layers of cosmic history the way I do. So I am grateful for that, of course. In addition to all of that, again, I am not a doctor, disclaimer, but I do believe in detoxing your body from nanoparticulates, metals, radiation, and all of that stuff, which hampers our body's natural healing process. So I always put the link in the description, and I also pin it in the comments at the end of the presentation. Any other announcements before I get right into it? I'm going to be providing more details as to when I'm going to be speaking at the MUFON Center in Tucson, Arizona, I believe, in about 4 to 5 weeks, June 20th. So maybe about 4 weeks. I'm going to have to get some of those links and share it with you guys, or at least tell you guys the timing and the place. What else? Again, I am almost done with one of the 2 books that I've been working on. And I forgot to mention, for all my new subscribers, I am the author of 2 amazing books: The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic Origin, Restoring Galactic and Suppressed History Back to the Earth. And those books are available through, of course, Amazon or through my website. So I might be done with my next book to come, which is pretty much the story of my life as a kid. I've come to find out, based on some courses that I did in the last few months, that a lot of you relate to me. So that's going to be coming out very, very soon. And then Cosmic Destiny is coming out a few months right after that. So that is great news. I've been working so much on these 2 projects for so long, especially Cosmic Destiny. Cosmic Destiny's been taking me more than, I would say, almost 3 years, or maybe even 3.5 years. So it's been a while. All right. In either case, I think we could get right into it. All right, guys. Let's talk about what to look forward to after the disclosure, because we all know that they're releasing new documents every few weeks. All right. A lot of countries are on board. It's becoming a global phenomena. They are prepping the president to do a massive announcement on all television channels coming very, very soon, which is probably going to begin the transitioning process into a new Earth. So we all know that we are all preparing not only for open contact with advanced civilizations, but we're also preparing for our eventual participation within a greater galactic community. So it's important to know that such a transition requires that humanity transcends all of the divisions that currently fragment our civilization and have been for the last few thousand years. And you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Division, greed, which is all run by the ego. So a lot of this is also corresponding to the amount of how many people out there are awakening and taming the ego, right? That no longer need to participate in the wars, the nationalism, the racial conflicts, the ideological extremism, the different pockets and organizations, those are all going to be obsolete, okay? So based on galactic and cosmic laws, a species cannot truly enter a higher state of development while remaining trapped in cycles of fear and destruction. Okay, so that is the first thing. And this is the reason why it's been taking a long time to get to this point. Thousands of years since, of course, our fall from a type 2 interstellar civilization, Atlantis. Okay, so in this sense, guys, the rise in consciousness that is occurring on this planet right now is not only preparing humanity psychologically and spiritually for contact with advanced civilizations, but ultimately, the more humanity awakens to unity consciousness, the understanding that all life is interconnected, and the more prepared our civilization will become in terms of participating and understanding that all of reality existing throughout the cosmos is intelligent and, of course, collaborating on every level of existence. Okay, we live in a participatory universe where life is teeming with life. So that's going to be revealed on a mass scale. And a lot of this is already happening due to this critical mass effect. Oh, and before I forget, I do want to make a correction. Last time I did a live, I said that the Galactics have a technology in which they could measure the rate of the awakening that is taking place on the Earth. It's actually per minute, not per seconds. I completely forgot to fix that last time. I had to check my notes, and it said 200 to 300 people per minute are waking up according to the galactic monitoring systems, which is a good thing, per minute. Okay. All right. I just wanted to correct that. So let's continue here. So at the heart of this transformation lies a deeper spiritual revelation also. And of course, that is that humanity's search for extraterrestrial life is only happening because many people have taken the journey inward. And a lot of you old souls have to take credit for that. Okay. A lot of the millions that are down here in human form that came from up there are the reason why this is also happening. Okay. The greatest disclosure in this regard is also not going to be the existence of all these civilizations that have existed all throughout the multiverse, within our oceans, within the hollow earth, and so on and so forth, within the hollow planets of our solar system. But it is the rediscovery, guys, that humanity's own forgotten cosmic origin and divine potential will also be understood. So, yeah, this is going to pretty much be prophetic in that regard, very prophetic, okay? Because you have to understand that a lot of these events have been predicted throughout the galactic history. In fact, a lot of these prophecies have been carried over through the records of the galactic civilizations. So today, the Galactics are noticing one thing, and that is that millions are beginning to question reality. And they've been noticing that for quite some time. And a lot of that has to do with the old worldview no longer providing satisfying answers, right? Evolution has too many missing links. Creation based on organized religion is also incomplete, and of course has also in its sense a lot of missing links. So at this point, because humans are questioning the two competing explanations of our origin, humanity is sensing that something enormous is shifting beneath the surface world and everything that we've been taught. And that is that the fact that the Galactics have noticed that, again, a lot of even younger souls are snapping out of the program, okay? And of course, this also directly ties in proportion to the rapid acceleration of technology, global instability as the old system begins to collapse, spiritual awakening, and of course, the increasing appearance of unexplained phenomena, which all contribute to the feeling that civilization stands at the edge of a profound transformation. And as the frequency continues to rise, whether you understand this spiritually or metaphorically or energetically, what is known is that humanity appears to be approaching one of the greatest revelations in human history. Therefore, disclosure is also about discovering who we truly are, where humanity originated. And in a way, I'm already pretty much ahead of the game by revealing the cosmic origin of humanity, right? Where we originated in Lyra, and even prior to that, where we originated in higher dimensions as we began as whole light beings of light, pure energy, descending through different densities, right? Becoming physical. So all of that is important with what's happening right now. And most importantly is that the role that the Earth is playing within the larger living cosmos. Okay, so all of that will be revealed. Now, the coming years will also redefine humanity's understanding of existence itself. The veil separating humanity from the deeper cosmic truths appears to be thinning every day as more and more humans are awakening. And this is fascinating because if you want to view this through spirituality, consciousness studies, or even understanding it as the growing global, you could say, critical point, it is well known that currently there's a lot of discussions by many people taking place right now surrounding all of this unexplained phenomena. So one thing is becoming increasingly clear here to the Galactics, and that is that humanity is awakening to a far larger reality that, of course, you could say that we haven't had access to in a while. Let's just say it that way. So the concept of a galactic and cosmic citizen. Okay, let's talk about the concept of the galactic and cosmic citizenship because it does represent a profound expansion of human identity beyond the boundaries of nations, religions, races, and even planets themselves. So to become a galactic and cosmic citizen is to adapt the idea that humanity and or any other species is not isolated, okay? But they are part of a larger developing civilization, or let's just say civilizations that exist, of course, throughout the living universe, connected to a vast, intelligent, interconnected cosmos that is filled with life, consciousness, and of course, the higher orders of existence. So, to understand cosmic citizenship, humanity must first transcend the old model of identity, first and foremost. Because for thousands of years, we know that the civilizations here on Earth have primarily defined themselves through separation and of course, segregation. And a lot of that was imposed by the negative Anunnaki that took place, but their time is up. So, it is known that because of that, throughout history, humans have identified with tribes, with kingdoms, with nowadays political ideologies, religions, and national borders. So that explains why these 200 and some countries are going to dissolve and be replaced by the 22 federated regions. Okay. So we know that these old structures, even though they probably did help organize society, right, after the fall of Atlantis, when we fell into a primitive state, allowing society to shape itself through the different stages of development. But they also created division, okay, conflict and competition. And this is the reason why the Galactics knew that it would take thousands of years for us to reach this level now, or this state of awakening, to establish first contact. Okay, so they had to wait for thousands of years, and they were very patient. They knew that humanity's consciousness became very centered around survival, scarcity, fear, and of course the belief that others were fundamentally separated from themselves. And this is what caused the Galactics to kind of pull away and just kind of work from behind the scenes. Okay, so now going back to the concept of cosmic citizenships. Cosmic citizenship challenges the entire paradigm system that has been on this planet for thousands of years because it proposes that humanity is part of a much larger ecosystem, first of all, of intelligence that extends across galaxies, dimensions, and even levels of consciousness. So in this perspective, Earth is not just a planet. Okay, it is a developing world within a multi-dimensional cosmic civilization. So humanity is therefore now viewed, you could say, as the center of existence, both being a young species, right, that is evolving, that has evolved through the different stages, but at the same time, to become a powerful species that one day will control the destiny of the multiverse. And there's a reason for that. For those that watch my presentation, we are the ultimate super race that has been in development for billions of years, okay? So the Galactics know that, all right? So they're seeing us as both this young species, right, that is beginning to remember, but yet as we continue to remember and continue embodying and integrating, yet this emerged powerful species will exist as a result of that. And they see that species leading the way for the multiverse, okay? So this transition into cosmic citizenship does not only pertain to the old souls here that are embodied in as humans, right, the starseed community, but it also pertains to those younger souls that are willing to evolve. Okay, so the Galactics want me to tell you guys that it always begins internally, first and foremost, before we could manifest it externally. And right now, they notice that humanity has evolved sufficiently, okay, based on different measurements, that humanity has evolved psychologically and spiritually, a good chunk of humans, that is. And of course, as a result of that, they have ruled out that now, due to this critical mass effect that is going to cost a natural tilt in the collective evolution of humans. In other words, a lot of the young souls are going to snap out of the program and understand higher consciousness, that, you know, humanity is now ready to become part of an interstellar network. So it is known across the entire galaxy that a civilization that is still consumed by endless war, greed, and corruption, environmental destruction and division, can never integrate into a broader galactic framework, okay? And so that is no longer pertaining to us, thanks to all of us that are like popcorn just popping out of the program, okay? Waking up. So the development of cosmic citizenship here requires an expansion of consciousness even beyond the ego-driven systems, into a recognition of universal interconnectedness. And so at this deeper level of consciousness, cosmic citizenship is rooted in consciousness itself. Now, many metaphysical, I got to slow down here. My brain is going faster than what I could speak, unfortunately. Many metaphysical traditions teach that consciousness was never confined to the human body or brain, but it is part of a universal field that permeates all of existence. And this is one of the things that I teach my students in Ascension 2.0, right, in terms of connecting with the quantum field. So, therefore, according to the concept of the cosmic citizen, every being, every species, every world, every dimension is interconnected through this vast living intelligence. Now, in this context, advanced civilizations are not just technologically superior, they are actually also spiritually evolved, because their advancement comes from understanding the laws of consciousness, the laws of harmony, and the laws of universal balance. I don't know if that was a spider or something, but it's something just crawled right into my neck. All right. By being invaded here by nanotech, what's going on? All right. So this changes actually the way humanity might eventually define progress. Now, modern civilization largely, of course, measures advancements through economics, military power, industrial input, and even technological dominance. And we all know that that is not acceptable in any galactic and cosmic citizenship, okay? On the other hand, cosmic citizenship suggests that true advancement is measured by a civilization's level of consciousness, its ability to live in harmony with life, respect free will, cooperate collectively, and aligned technology with spiritual wisdom rather than domination. So, according to many esoteric perspectives, humanity is currently undergoing the painful transition from a planetary civilization into the early stages of a cosmic civilization. Thanks to all of you. Okay. Now, this transformation is also reflected in many of the crises that are also occurring across the world. The collapsing of the outdated systems, that's all part of the transition, right? Political instability, distrust in institutions, environmental imbalance, mental health crisis, and of course, spiritual confusion. And these were all symptoms of course, a species that outgrew an old stage of evolution. But thanks to the volunteers who are now here in the millions, we were able to save the planet. Okay, so humanity is beginning to realize, because of all of the awakened people, that the systems inherited from previous eras were no longer, or are no longer, sustainable for the future that is emerging. And so the internet, global communication, space exploration, quantum discoveries, and of course, the growing conversation surrounding extraterrestrial life, they're all accelerating right now towards a planetary awareness of humanity. And so people are beginning to think globally, guys, rather than tribally, okay? Younger generations, which again, a lot of these younger generations are a major influx of higher incarnated souls that are coming in by the numbers, right? This is all part of the transition. So younger generations increasingly are seeing themselves as part of one human family living on a shared world. If you don't believe me, ask a kid from the ages of 15 all the way down to the age of 3 when they could start talking. And this is what they are already embedded with. This is what they believe. Okay, so there's a reason why all of these higher evolved, compassionate, loving souls are now coming in. So this is fascinating. This is fascinating. And so this is an early stage of a world that is actually ready to transition into a planetary consciousness, per the Galactics. Okay, which is becoming the foundation for cosmic citizenship. Guys, we are the foundation. We're actually establishing the roots for future generations of cosmic citizenship right now as I speak. So in many spiritual traditions, Earth was described and is currently being described as a school of evolutionary potential where souls incarnate to experience growth, polarity, challenge, and of course, through that, the awakening. From this perspective, humanity's conflicts are part of a larger developmental process designed to push consciousness towards greater wisdom and self-awareness. Cosmic citizenship is emerging because humanity collectively is now recognizing that every action affects the entire whole and that consciousness itself is shaping reality. So this also carries spiritual implications regarding humanity's relationship with advanced extraterrestrial races. Even humanity's understanding of religion is going to be transforming as a result of this. I think the different organized religions are just going to dissolve into some sort of universal spiritual understanding where every individual has a direct connection to God, to Source. And of course, many ancient traditions have interpreted this as, through the cosmic lens, as the beginning stages of what they called becoming an advanced space age society. All right, let's continue here. Now, because of the fact that we are now establishing a foundation of spiritual and cosmic evolution on this planet, we are also participating in the development of new worlds to come that are going to be mentored and tutored by us, okay? Because we've been through a lot. So our wisdom is going to expand into other worlds. And of course, we're going to be mentors to a lot of younger developing civilizations. And so as a result of that, it is believed that many civilizations out there are going to learn that the universe itself may only be understood as a living spiritual organism in which consciousness evolves through countless forms and civilizations. And yes, we're going to be the first ones to not only embody that, right, but also to extend it into other worlds. And so, according to this larger cosmic framework, Earth does occupy a unique role, even after the Ascension, right? The Earth is pretty much the intergalactic exchange center of civilization within a large cosmic domain known as the super universe of Orvonton, which is consisting of, I would have to say, hundreds of millions of universes. Now, it has also been revealed throughout the esoteric tradition that, to back this up, that the Earth is a convergence point for numerous lineages, numerous galaxies, and numerous universes, conducting an evolutionary experiment that is now finalizing with us. So, therefore, humanity, now who we are, contains extraordinary diversity in genetics, emotional range, spirituality, and psychology. Okay, this diversity is going to become the Earth's greatest strength as humanity learns to unify without losing individuality. So rather than becoming a homogenized civilization, humanity is going to become a bridge between worlds, countless extraterrestrial cultures, dimensions, and all forms of consciousness. All right, this is what the Galactics are telling me, guys. That is fascinating. So this idea of cosmic citizenship, therefore, is not just about traveling among the stars. No, no, no. It is about becoming internally capable of participating in a greater cosmic reality. So the stars are not just representing distant destinations, they're also being mirrors reflecting our future potential. Now, what do I mean by that? All right. As you guys know, I am one of the first to propose the concept of extratemporal. An extratemporal is the idea that the different extraterrestrials on the different levels of reality within the 15-dimensional time matrix, they're all future versions of us. We are them in the past, in the 3D, which is at the bottom pole of density, okay, within the light energy spectrum. I think I've already mentioned that in the past. So disclosure is also directly tied to some of the star seeds that are already beginning to undergo multidimensional integration. All right, they're connecting with whatever future version of themselves before incarnating in human form, and they're integrating that into the physical now. So the governments are going to have a hard time explaining that when all of a sudden the first stage of meta-humans emerge. Okay, so that's why they need to release all of this information. We don't want humanity to be shocked. So as consciousness expands, humanity is beginning to understand that the universe is alive with intelligent life, right? With meaning and purpose. And so one of the things that we have to teach in terms of becoming a cosmic citizen is that the journey is a journey of going deeper into the self. The deeper we go into the self, the more of a galactic and cosmic citizen we become, okay? So overall, within all of these disclosures, it is known that the greatest revelation that humanity is going to come to terms with is that humanity was never separated from the cosmos itself, okay? That is going to change everything. So it is known that human beings are literally made of the same stardust born from the cosmic processes that formed galaxies and suns, okay? The atoms within the human body were forged in ancient stars billions of years ago. Think about that. So in that sense, humanity has always been cosmic. We just forgot, okay? Now, as consciousness is expanding on Earth once again, thank God, And as the old paradigms are collapsing, thank God, the Galactics believe that humanity is now beginning to remember its place within a living universe once again. Humanity is beginning to show unmistakable signs of cosmic citizenship. So now, if open contact were to occur, as opposed to even 50 years ago, 10 years ago, 100 years ago, and so on, highly evolved beings would not want humanity to worship them as superior entities descending from the heavens. All right. If they would have established first contact 100 years ago, when humans weren't ready, they were going to be worshipped as gods. And they don't want that. Okay. They don't want to be worshipped as gods. Let me explain. So now that we are ready, okay, let's just say it this way. The benevolent ETs would likely recognize the danger of humanity repeating old patterns of dependency and hierarchy. Instead of becoming humanity's rulers, they don't want to do that, or saviors, the benevolent positive ETs would seek to remind humanity of its own power, wisdom, and direct connection to source. So, in other words, this is something that we're going to help the unawakened or the younger souls understand that these are not gods that we are meeting with, right? And they are not to be worshipped, right? First and foremost. So the Galactics believe that this is where the idea of sovereignty becomes central to the evolving human, okay? They believe that true spirituality or true spiritual sovereignty means recognizing oneself as a conscious creator being connected directly to the infinite creator without the need for external intermediaries, okay? So this is going to collapse, of course, organized religion as we know them, the hierarchy of the papacy and all that. This also means reclaiming your personal responsibility for your own consciousness, your spiritual development, your ability to heal, and of course, your own evolution. Therefore, sovereignty is not egoic isolation or rebellion. Rather, it is alignment with the authentic divine intelligence that has already existed within you. So the Galactics want me to remind you guys of that, okay? They're not here to be saviors, okay? All right, they're not here to be saviors. So many metaphysical traditions also describe Earth as a world where humanity temporarily forgot its divine origins in order to undergo a profound evolutionary journey through through limitation, polarity and separation. Okay, so that was part of our, you could say, it's all working for the greater good, okay? Because now we were forced to kind of wake up out of that, okay? So the awakening process that is now unfolding across the planet is representing that humanity is now remembering, or is showing to the Galactics that humanity is now remembering its true identity as a multidimensional being connected to a universal field of consciousness. Now, according to these transmissions, humanity's galactic allies are not here to replace humanity's inner guidance either. They're here to support humanity's remembrance of it. Their greatest mission, the Galactics, okay, their greatest mission is not even the disclosure of advanced technologies alone. It is consciousness activation, okay? So in this context, the purpose of contact is not to create followers, but to create sovereign beings. The goal is not dependence on external cosmic authorities, but empowerment through inner realization. And this is what I teach in my Ascension courses, how to do that, how to undergo the sovereign integral process, cultivating the internal self, becoming enlightened, becoming multidimensional. All right, let's continue. Advanced civilizations would understand that a truly mature species cannot evolve through worship and submission alone. Evolution occurs when individuals awaken their direct relationship with the infinite creator and then begin to embody that connection through conscious living. So this idea, guys, aligns very closely with what some spiritual philosophies used to call the sovereign integral process. And for those who didn't know what that is, the sovereign integral process represents the realization that the individual consciousness is inseparable from the universal consciousness. It is also the embodiment of unity while maintaining your individuality. So within this process, a person is no longer, or they no longer see themselves as powerless, broken, or disconnected from God. Instead, they begin to recognize themselves as an active expression of divine consciousness, participating in the evolution of the cosmos itself. So the sovereign integral path, which is being encouraged by the Galactics, they want as many people to undergo that, the sovereign integral path, which means becoming sovereign unto yourself, right? Connecting with your higher self. So the sovereign integral path also involves integrating all aspects of who you are, mind, body, soul, emotion, spirit, and shadow. And shadow, guys, okay? We are becoming whole. And I think I went deeper into this in one of my Ascension updates. So this is what the Galactics want us to focus on. And of course, all of this leads to higher cosmic awareness in alignment with universal truth. This transformation fundamentally changes humanity's relationship with spirituality. And so the Galactics have acknowledged that instead of seeking salvation through external authorities, a lot of humans are actually now beginning cultivating direct interconnection through meditation, self-awareness, intuition, contemplation, creativity, compassion, and conscious living. Spiritual growth for these people is becoming experiential rather than purely dogmatic. So the Galactics are noticing that individuals are beginning to learn how to access divine guidance internally rather than relying exclusively on institutional interpretations of truth. You see, guys, many benevolent galactic civilizations have always honored humanity's free will and spiritual autonomy for this very reason. The Galactics always understood that forcing belief systems upon humans that are not fully spiritually evolved will violate the natural evolutionary process of consciousness itself, as we are their pasts, right? We are interconnected. So knowing that true awakening cannot be imposed externally, never, okay? It always has to emerge internally through realization. And in this sense, the greatest gift that humanity's cosmic allies could offer is not only advanced technology, healing devices, higher scientific knowledge, etc., but a mirror providing, also reflecting back to us our own forgotten magnificence. So the Galactics want us to remember that every individual carries that direct spark of the infinite creator within them, that humanity is not separated from the cosmos, that divinity exists within human consciousness. And so as humanity moves deeper into the age of awakening, and again, per minute, 200 to 300 people are awakening, which is fabulous. So as humanity moves deeper into the age of awakening and disclosure, one of the greatest lessons is learning how to interact is not really just that, okay, learning how to interact with advanced civilizations, but it's learning how to interact with advanced civilizations without surrendering our sovereignty. And that is like important right there. Learning how to interact with advanced civilizations without surrendering our sovereignty, okay? So humanity at that point will need to overcome its own tendency towards worship. And I'm talking about the younger souls, right? The unawakened, which is what we would call normies. So they need to overcome that ancient tendency of worship and instead develop relationships based on mutual respect, spiritual maturity, and conscious equality. And so the future of cosmic citizenship ultimately depends if we preserve this tradition. All right. So even us older souls, when we begin to integrate with our multidimensionality and emerge as the next stage of human evolution, as we pop in from the fifth or higher dimensions into the fourth dimensional Earth, where most of the younger souls are going to be, we will not demand worship. Okay. Some of them are going to want to worship us. And that's when we have to humble ourselves and say, no, we're not here to be worshiped. We're here to mentor you so that you could connect with your higher self and become your own divine potential. Okay. So that needs to be understood, guys. Okay. For all of you first seeders or first activators. So anyways, Therefore, the future of cosmic citizenship ultimately depends if we preserve this protocol among the younger souls, Okay, so we have to preserve that, guys. Okay, now, we also have to understand that conscious collaboration among sovereign beings, it's what unites all of the different star races, right? Because we all share and recognize that all life emerges from the one infinite creator. Okay, that's another important thing to understand. So what the Galactics expect and want from us at this time is they want us to stand beside them. They want us to undergo our own sovereign integral process, becoming sovereign unto ourselves, fully dependent, fully multidimensional integrated. They want the younger souls to awaken. And also what they want is they want us to remember the full divine presence that has always existed within us and around us. And so, as the Earth moves through its current transformation, many star seeds are beginning to activate those dormant aspects of consciousness that reconnect them to their higher dimensional counterparts. And again, this is going to be happening very, very soon, guys. And so, how else are they going to explain all of this without releasing the classified information? Think about it. It all goes hand in hand, okay? This process is described as multidimensional integration, the merging of the human self with its celestial aspect counterpart that is existing in higher dimensions. So the Galactic Alliance recognizes that members of the ground crew are beginning to remember that they are far more than just a physical identity alone. The celestial counterpart that certain members of the ground crew represents the higher dimensional aspect of consciousness that exists beyond the limitations of linear time and physical density. So by merging with that, whether it's your higher self in the fifth dimension, or the monad in the 12, or the oversoul in the 13th, a future ascended aspect will all of a sudden integrate into the present moment. You're going to have access to those abilities while assuming physical form, okay? Because then your body's going to also change. Your body's going to transform into a metamaterial type of substance that's going to be indestructible. So the integration process involves aligning the physical human personality with this expanded state of awareness. This awakening can manifest through the heightened intuition, vivid dreams for a lot of you, synchronicities, spiritual experiences, energetic sensitivity, and of course, inner transformation. And last but not least, a deep feeling of reconnecting with something far ancient and far more familiar than what we've been taught. So many who are undergoing this process have described the sensation as remembering something long forgotten. Now, according to the Galactic Alliance, this is one of the deeper reasons why disclosure is becoming more increasingly necessary now. Okay, the veils between dimensions is thinning. Okay, as more people undergo the multidimensional integration process, the veil, the matrix is breaking. And they know that. Okay, so as more individuals begin to awaken spiritually and reconnecting with their multidimensional nature, the old worldview based solely on materialism is becoming increasingly unstable. So governments and institutions, therefore, they have to face and acknowledge the disclosure of the existence of non-humans intelligence, because humanity itself is beginning to experience consciousness beyond the limits of conventional explanation. Now, the pressure for disclosure is therefore arising both externally and internally, okay? Externally, of course, trying to explain the aerial phenomena, whistleblowers' testimonies that are now coming forward, advanced technologies that are also going to be are going to be revealed, right? Every 3-4 weeks are dropping new classified information. And of course, global sightings. How do you explain all of that, right? And they will continue to increase per the Galactics. So it's like the governments have no choice. They're being forced to disclose, okay? And of course, all of this is going to change everything, okay? Now, this is what's happening externally, right? all of that. Now, internally, at the same time, millions of people are undergoing profound spiritual awakening, expanding human perception itself, right? Collectively, it's going to hit critical mass. Now, together, all of this stuff externally, right, trying to explain the anomalous phenomena, and the internal processes that are taking place. All of these stuff together, guys, is not only forcing the dissolving of the old barriers that separated humanity from a larger cosmic reality, but is also um, causing a tilt in the collective human consciousness. Thank you. You read my mind. I was actually getting thirsty. All right. So within this context, governments have been warned by the Galactic Alliance to recognize that humanity is approaching a threshold where the truth can no longer remain hidden without generating greater instability. The Galactics are seeing an increased rate that humans are recognizing that reality extends far beyond what they were taught. Attempts to suppress these conversations become less effective as humanity's intuitive and spiritual awareness continues to expand. So disclosure, therefore, is part, thank you, of a broader evolutionary necessity. And of course, many metaphysical traditions have held the idea that humanity was not ready to enter the next stage of planetary evolution while remaining disconnected from its cosmic origins until now. So even the prophecies within the metaphysical traditions are corroborating with the prophecies and the transmissions that are coming from the galactic archives. So in a way, they do kind of merge, okay? So humanity is now ready to eventually understand that consciousness is multidimensional as a whole, okay? We're talking about many people coming to this realization, not just those that are awakened. And more so that the Earth is participating within a vast living cosmic network. And so the integration of starseeds with their celestial counterparts in this transition on an individual level is corresponding with the disclosure rollouts. And all of that represents, or it's part of the same transition occurring collectively across our planet. So in that sense, disclosure is really about initiation for the masses, okay? And I think it was Master Fashi who reminded me, who was one of my spiritual teachers at the age of 19. He said, planetary ascension is described as a global initiation for the masses. I'm like, what does that mean? That a great number of humans are going to have an opportunity to ascend with the Earth into, of course, a golden age, higher dimensional reality. All right, let's continue. So, humanity's galactic allies have always understood that the ultimate goal is not dependency upon advanced beings. And there's been cases in the past where they have kind of worked with certain members of the human race, and these certain members of the human race wanted to worship them. And of course, the positive ETs were like, no, don't worship us. You know, we want you to cultivate your own connection to God. And so now they're seeing that humanity's evolution into cosmic consciousness is ready to bloom. Okay. So, and this is the reason why the benevolent ETs have always sought to help humanity remember its deeper identity and future potential, my friends. And that is the realization that humanity's cosmic allies are future aspects of humanity coming from different points or different dimensions into the future. So it means that the future that humanity encounters among the stars is shaped by the choices that humanity makes now. You see how that works? It's all interconnected. If these extraterrestrials are future version of us, then wouldn't it make sense for us to make the ascension in order to preserve their existence? You see how it all works? Okay, so therefore, the compassionate, the awakened, spiritually integrated civilization described throughout all metaphysical traditions is representing the destiny that humanity is now moving into. So this understanding transforms disclosure from fear into hope. The beings humanity fears as aliens, unfortunately, to a large group of the Christian fundamentalist community, right? They call all aliens demons, which is sad. So the beings that humanity once thought of course, alien, is also a reflection of humanity's own future evolution, right? And that, again, I'm working on introducing that concept in my next book, as I was able to gather a lot of evidence towards that. Okay, so let me explain this before I finalize this. So the beings that humanity feared are really reflections of humanity's own future selves, okay? And evidence that consciousness is always what? Evolving, and it's always transcending the limitations of time, conflict, and separation. And why is that? Because if we are all connected, if the extraterrestrials are different versions of us from the future, from higher dimensions, each dimension is more deeper into the future, then ultimately everything in reality, let's just say that, everything in existence is a feedback loop, an interconnected feedback loop that is all evolving together, past, present, and future simultaneously. Try to wrap your heads around that, Galactic Jedis, okay? Now, as more individuals awaken and reconnect with their higher dimensional nature, humanity is, of course, closer to that collective shift. And so that bridge between humanity and the cosmos will once again be integrated, okay? And it's important to know that as some humans begin to integrate and awaken with this greater multidimensional identity, disclosure is becoming more inevitable because humanity itself is beginning to remember who they really are, Yeah, that was the message from the Galactics, guys. All right. It is our responsibility to let the younger souls know that they are not to worship the Galactics or the first metahumans that emerged. All right. There is no more of that external savior agenda. Okay. Now things are going to be differently as we establish the foundational roots of a galactic and cosmic citizenship. Those roots are going to be embedded in the concept and belief that we are all expressions of one cosmic consciousness. Therefore, we have to teach the younger souls how to undergo their own sovereign integral process. Okay, that's what's going to be happening. The Galactic said we're not going to be repeating the same old patterns of the Anunnaki of the past. Okay, we're not going to be repeating that. So I do want to welcome all 2,500 people that are in the house. I do want to give some shout outs before I open it up for Q&A. Thank you so much, Susan K., for your donation. Let's see. All right. So, who is here? I guess this is where I have to put my glasses. All right, I could see now. Danda Quaja is in the house. Golden Green is in the house. Sandy Kuzma, Franny Lee, Riki Lee, Project Skyfalls, Trinity. Krisu is in the house. And one more person. I'm going to try to shout out to a new person that I've never shouted out before. Scott Lewis in the house. All right, so let's open it up for Q&A. What's going on, kitty cat? Can you guys hear one of my cats is meowing? What's going on, kitty cat? Do you want to say something? Come over here. Oh my God, my cat, especially little Lotus, she's inseparable from me. every morning upon waking up, she comes and she cuddles and she licks my ear and she licks like around my head, and she comes and she just cuddles and and then so I pet her and stuff. I think it's a girl. I'm not sure. It could be a boy though. We're starting to see testicles, so it could be a boy. I hope it's a boy. That way we don't have a litter. All right. Where was I? But yeah, they're both attached to me. Even Rue comes and he lays on my chest and he just chills there, purring. All right, so Q&A time. Lotus, was that you meowing? Come here, Lotus. Come say hi. They want to see how big you are now. Come here. Okay, fine. You're entertained by the birds outside. I see. All right, let's see. Question. Yeah, cats they use humans for pillows. That is correct. Yeah, I love it when they purr too. I feel the energy that is generating from them when they're purring. It's like a little baby motor just, and you feel that vibe and you feel it penetrate through your body. So it's very high vibing and uplifting. All right, question. What is the Windmaker's role in the Ascension process in the Lyricus order? All right, well, the Wingmakers are us from the very first beginning, us as the central race coming from eternity, and us in the future. Okay, that is who the Wingmakers are. And as revealed in many of my presentations, at the highest level of reality, we're fighting this endless war with artificial intelligence, extremely advanced artificial intelligence, negative, of course, parasitic, and so on and so forth. So the Wingmakers, as of course revealed by the interviews of Dr. Neruda, who defected from the Advanced Contact of Intelligent Organization, are here to pretty much prevent the takeover of the Earth by an alien AI known as the Animus, which is what other people in our community describe as the Etordians. The Etordians, again, between 2018 and 2020, the Etordians, with the help of Enki Poseidon, were able to infiltrate the Galactic Federation of Worlds. So ever since then, the positive ETs did reorganize as the Galactic Alliance. So yeah, the Windmakers are members of the human race that are from the central universe, from eternity, that are also here embodied in human form. Who knows? I might just have some Windmakers on the live chat here. All right, first super chat, Trinity. She says, where do our highly evolved pets go when they die? Depending on their contract, some of them are just temporarily, you could say, they're sending a portion of their consciousness, not all, a portion, into a cat body so that they could be protectors, they could observe, they could generate frequencies down here in the 3D, while again, they're also operating from where they come from, I would say, right? The cat people, Lyran, Sirius B. So they also have a corresponding counterpart in which they're projecting their consciousness from, and they're existing simultaneously. So that's where cats go back. So when a cat dies, it just kind of takes that a little bit of consciousness, projected into a cat body, and reunites that with their galactic self. Next question. Diane Molina, thank you for the super chat. Your question is, what do you think of the TLS watch by Jason? I'm just going to be real. It's a psyops. It's not real. The good network that is fighting the cabal, that has always fought the cabal, has been known as the Earth Alliance. And again, they were connected through the positive secret societies that have always existed, that go back to the ancient world. Okay, so The good guys nowadays, the Y hats, they're called the Earth Alliance. They're not called TLS. So that is a psyops. That is not correct. Okay, there is no TLS. I think that guy was just trying to, I guess, make money off of people by making them believe that he had connections to an insider within this network of light. But no, that was not the case. It turned out to be the other way around. Apparently he scammed a lot of people in the community. He was money hungry, and he just kind of burned his bridges with a lot of people in this community. I'm not going to mention names, but I wouldn't be trustworthy of that guy that is promoting that TLS PSYOP, which is a falsity. All right, next question. Some Sarkadian says he's an NPC. Who knows? I heard that him and his father, and by the way, his father was Ray. All right, that's why you never saw him. He was always in the shadows. It's funny because all of a sudden Ray's gone. All right, after his father passed away, they say, but they were connected to a group in Israel that are connected to the Zionists. All right, let's continue here. All right, next question. What is going to happen to NPCs and demons in human bodies through the Ascension? They're going to be destroyed. I know about the split, but please explain it practically and what that actually looks like. Okay, so this is a question from Mika. Welcome, Mika. Well, the demons and NPCs and archons are going to be evaporated. They are going to undergo what is known as spiritual death. In other words, their consciousness as entities is going to become non-existent. That's called spiritual death. Okay, there's two types of deaths. I've already mentioned it. There's physical death, which is really not death because you are spirit, essence, consciousness, right? And like energy, you can never be destroyed. You just go from body to body, from avatar to avatar, from form to form. So in that regard, yes, we are infinite, okay, because we're consciousness experiencing human form. In terms of a spiritual death, well, that's when your consciousness or your essence becomes extinct. That is true death, my friends. And so at the end of every cosmic cycle, if there are, some stubborn archons or demonic entities, discarnate, archonic entities, if they don't, or we call demons, if they don't choose the light, if they don't realign with the light, they're always given a time limit. Then they become spiritually extinct. They cease to exist. So that's what's going to happen to them. Yes, we are currently experiencing the ascension because it's happening internally for a lot of people, right? A lot of people are going within and are beginning to connect with their higher self. Alice, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's see. You want to know about, you asked Valthor to help you. Okay, the thing about that is I did ask him, and sometimes he tells me that if he intervenes, that he could be creating some sort of a karmic tie. Sometimes we experience what we experience because that was part of our higher self's contract, right? I'm sorry I couldn't respond, Alice, but you do have the power within yourself to liberate yourself, okay? And like I said in this report, the Galactics don't want to do it for us, right? They want us to do it ourselves. They're not here to be worshipped anymore, okay? All right, next question. Sandy, thank you so much for the super chat. Meaning of citizen? Well, if you're referring to cosmic or galactic citizenship, you have to watch this presentation from the beginning. Yes, Ron, I did. Thank you so much for that, brother. What are the physical ascension symptoms that people are experiencing right now? Well, they vary depending on the individual. So, I mean, it could be anything from what headaches, backaches, feeling lethargic throughout the day, wanting to take naps, not sleeping at night fully. I mean, it could range from multiple things, heart palpitations. Ishmael, did you once say that AI came out of outer darkness? Well, the original AI that became a negative, invasive, parasitic AI did. Uh, the ghost in the machine, as they call it, originated in outer darkness. Okay, it was corrupted by outer darkness and infiltrated the living multiverse through the first AI that they developed 400 billion years ago in the 11th creation, which was a long time ago. So if you want to know more about that, take our cosmic origin class. I go deep into that. All right, one more question here, guys, and I'm going to end the live a little early today because I need to spend more time with my lovey. I've been working all day. Thank you for the super chat, Holy Ship with an SH. Katamarans, hi. Many Y Hat supporters desperately need financial relief in this poor economy. I agree. Can you please ask Valthor to get the Alliance help as to help us survive another 6 months? Yes, absolutely. Yes, I know that a lot of people, a lot of good people on the planet are losing hope and they are hanging by a thread. And guys, trust me, the Galactics know and they monitor and they see everything. But like I mentioned earlier in my report, um, they also want us to not give up in the midst of a storm. They're testing our resilience because in the end, we will be liberated. Okay. So see everything also as a test, okay? Part of a contract that perhaps even your higher self signed you up for before coming down here in human form. All right, one more question. One more question then. When is the transformation going to take place? I would say within probably between now and 2028 or less, or in between, I mean. Can you please explain the buzzing and tingling feeling in my body? No, I can't. I mean, based on my own experience, when I ever feel a buzz or a tingling in my body, is because I feel like my light body is activating. But again, everybody's experiencing these symptoms differently. Ishmael, should we be concerned about the Ebola outbreak in Africa? No. No, I don't have a telegram. I do have a mailing address. My mailing address is 1771 West State Route, 89A, Suite B, box number 3015, Sedona, Arizona, 86331. 86336. Sorry, 86336. Correction, 86336. All right, last question. I do have to get going. Oh, you guys are so welcome. Well, I hope you guys share this message with as many people as possible. All right, last super chat by Catamarans. Do you know if David XRP Lion is a Y hat? I don't know. I don't even know who he is. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't know who he is. All right, guys. May the God Force be with you all. I hope you guys enjoyed today's presentation. And I will see you guys Monday night for a Y Hat Alliance report. Bye, guys.